Okay, we're here with theorist Richard Sapernetti. Now, Dick, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and how you came to be where you are right now.
Well, I grew up in an Italian family with 10 kids and another person lived with us, 13 people in one household. And we only had 2 bedrooms, but my brothers and sisters were very intelligent. And they got me to talking, they talked science, they talked everything. And then when I went to school, grade school, I had a teacher, my science teacher, named Mrs. Snyder. One day in class, she played Beethoven's First Piano Concerto. I don't know, it was at 3rd or 4th grade. I walked outside and I saw the universe. I saw the blue sky, the screen. I came alive. I saw the sky, the birds were chirping and everything, so I figured, hey, what's going on here? And since she was my teacher, I just kept looking at science like it meant something. And then, when I was in the 7th grade, my brother Paul, who was the smartest person at East High School, always got hundreds. He was in the 9th. He brought me home a book on Pythagoras. Once he told me about it, once I started reading and tried to understand Pythagoras, I stopped taking school math, stopped doing their ideas, and I created my own math and my own theoretical physics.
Using Pythagoras.
Using Pythagoras, right. And then I got rid of zero. Zero doesn't exist. There was never a Big Bang. What we do, give you an example. When I was in grade school, again, the teacher would draw a line down and across and put a 0 in the middle and plus and minuses around it. I asked the teacher, what's the 0 stand for? Well, nothing. And I'm thinking as a kid, 2 lines crossing each other represent nothing. But then I used that concept and I drew 2 lines, and the lines I said were straight. There's nothing straight in the universe, but imaginary, those lines are infinitely straight. And once they become infinitely straight, everything is a minus if it slows down. And that's how my universe was created, by the slowing down of energy caused by a collision of energy. Much like they do in the cyclotron.
Now, Dick, for those people in the world who've never heard of you, you've had your theories published extensively here in Akron. That's where you're from, right?
Yeah, in New York. I was in New York with one of my theories. I was on Cleveland. Dorothy Fulltime's program 5 times. She just loved it because I wrote a book on energy, time, dissipation, and the creation of cancer cells.
Tell us a little bit about your credentials. What gives you the authority to speak on these theories, on science, on physics?
Your own created knowledge. You don't need to have somebody tell you what to do. I was always a thinking person, and the people around me were always learned people. It's like I said before, if you take a little boy on a porch drinking his milk, studying, his mother looks at him, gets up, wipes his mouth, he goes in the house, next day he goes and takes a test, get 100 because he remembered everything. Well, I was a kid that got off the porch, went down in the woods, looked in the water, played with everything, got lost, came back to the porch, and I studied a little bit. Who learned more that day? Me or him? Me. Because I had to use my mind to do something. I don't need these people, these geniuses out there. You call them geniuses. How can you be a genius when you talk about 11 dimensions wrapped in a one-dimensional sphere and want people to believe that? Where do they come from? The moon? Never happened.
But you are an expert in physics.
I am an expert in my physics, my creation of the universe, my concept of matter, my concept of time. And when I wrote a book on energy, time, dissipation, and the creation of cancer cells, you're the one that told me about it when it was at the University of California, San Francisco's library. And what did the professor say?
Said it was one of the best books he's ever read on cancer.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was in there. And then I wrote a book on God, and I'm not religious. Wow. Where'd that book end up? On the Nook. So here I am writing this book. I also wrote one, Wealthy Richard's Almanac, which I think is funny. But life is full of thinking. My dad used to tell me, Ricardo, state zitti, chiacchierone. It means, shut up, you talk too much. Because I ask questions. And my dad was a great guy. He never talked much English, and I never stood much. But I know one thing, when I had that Mrs. Snyder, from that point on, I decided, when my brother brought me home that book, that I'm going to do my own physics, my own math. And I don't start at zero, I start with infinity. Two lines colliding creates the universe. And later on this, I'll show you what the two lines do and what the two lines are made of, like a collision. But I will show you what happens during the collision. You
Great.
understand?
Well, why don't you show us now some of the articles that have been written about you?
Okay. And I'm